Hassan, you are recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Chair Peters and Ranking Member Portman, for this hearing. Thank you to all of our witnesses for being here today and for the service you've provided in multiple arenas. Quickly, General Taylor, I just wanted to give you a chance to comment on something that Senator Portman and Ms. Cogswell discussed. Would it help overall employee morale in INA if there was a nominee to head the office?
Absolutely. And I would also say, Senator, that INA's morale was in the dumps when I took over with Secretary Johnson, and we were able to improve morale by focusing on kind of basic taking care of people, the things I've learned over 40 years in the military, and to get people focused on mission. So it's not an impossible task, but leadership needs to focus on it and make it a priority.
Thank you. I also want to follow up. Senator Portman talked with both of you, General Taylor and Ms. Cogswell, about the role that INA plays in particularly combating TCOs, but I'd like you to expand a little bit on it. The Office of Intelligence and Analysis is one of 17 entities within the larger intelligence community. So please take this opportunity to briefly talk about how INA is suited to take advantage of its authorities and relationships to inform its own activities and the activities of the intelligence community as a whole, and how is its relationship with state, local, and tribal authorities different from other agencies? Why don't we start with you, General Taylor, and then to Ms. Cogswell.
Well, as I said in my opening comments, INA is the only intelligence agency specifically chartered to provide intelligence support to our state, local, tribal, and territorial partners, really as a result of 9/11. And the fact that we had people in this country who were about to commit a terrorist act, and there was no way to loop in the 18,000 police organizations and 800,000 cops to understand what the nature of that threat is. And that's what INA and DHS has worked on over the years. So that's what makes it unique. Most of the IC cannot do work in the homeland. The FBI can from an investigative perspective and counterintelligence perspective, and DHS INA. But the rest of the IC is precluded from the kind of specific work, intelligence work that INA does in the homeland.
Thank you. And Ms. Cogswell.
I agree with everything that General Taylor said. I would add it is also uniquely situated within DHS. So it is partnered up with other elements who directly have mission responsibility to enact programs specifically to counter threats. So in addition to the threat and intelligence picture, the ability to wrap in policy and operational entities to help formulate direction and then work with counterparts, including at the state and local level, to exercise them, critically important.
Thank you. General Taylor, I want to turn to the issue of cybersecurity for a minute. We've seen a recent series of high-profile cybersecurity breaches and attacks against the federal government and critical infrastructure, and we don't expect that these threats are going to diminish. How can the Office of Intelligence and Analysis work with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, otherwise known as CISA, to help prevent these attacks from happening?
Well, I think the most important part is INA is already at CISA with about 30 of its analysts working directly with CISA and the Computer Security Division to produce intelligence coming out of the Einstein system. I believe CISA should have its own dedicated intelligence organization to assist not only INA, but its director in formulating intelligence that's specific to the data that's collected by CISA. I also think that that would allow them a much more robust relationship with the National Security Agency. While NSA can't actually do domestic intelligence collection, it's an analytical capability I think is important to our understanding of what the cybersecurity risk is and informing our partners in the federal government and state and local and private sector what actions they need to take to address those issues.
Thank you. Now I want to turn to the issue of terrorism threats, and we've talked a little bit about it this morning. But General Taylor, I am pleased that the Office of Intelligence and Analysis recently announced a new effort dedicated to analyzing the threat from domestic terrorism. I also remain concerned about the threats posed by international terrorists and homegrown violent extremists. So in your view, do you believe that the Office of Intelligence and Analysis has the capacity to adequately monitor the various terrorist threats?
Absolutely, in conjunction with NCTC
Yep.
and the FBI. It doesn't stand alone. This is a partnership between the intelligence community, the FBI, and DHS in understanding the nature of the phenomenon we're seeing both in the homeland
Yeah.
and overseas. And the international threat has not diminished.
Right.
ISIS and Al-Qaeda continue to threaten the U.S., and we need to keep a very clear eye on that threat as well as what we're seeing in the homeland as it's unfolded over the course of the last 2 or 3 years.
Thank you. Ms. Cogswell, you testified today about the importance of depoliticizing the intelligence process. What specific steps can the Office of Intelligence and Analysis take to accomplish this goal, and how can Congress assist?
Thank you so much, Senator, for the question. In particular, as I thought about this type of particular issue, I very much liken it to right after 9/11, where we had kind of a whole of country kind of rethink about why we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
What was our failure of imagination in that front? We put in place a number of activities, different processes post that threat. And part of it was starting with how we did the intelligence analysis itself. The ability to have different entities look at the problem from multiple different viewpoints, a diversity of viewpoint. The ability to have wargamings that looked at both the most likely scenario and the worst case scenario. The ability to have a community that knew how to receive that information and then take action based on the fact that there's a variety of potential options. Even if they didn't think the worst case was likely, they at least had discussed it and prepared for it. I think there's real opportunity in this space to take some of those lessons learned and practices and apply them here.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, would it be all right if I asked General Taylor to just quickly comment on that same issue, how we can assist in depoliticizing the process?
Absolutely. Proceed.
Politics has no place in intelligence. It's the anathema, in my view, of solid intelligence collection, analysis, and reporting. And so during my tenure, or actually during my 50 years of doing this, speaking truth to power is what intelligence officials are supposed to do. And despite politics, that's our job, and we need to do it and do it effectively.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.